Our guest author this morning, Ingrid Lomas, has made her debut in the literary circuit with a memoir she entitled Alone, Together, Loved Forever. This hugely relatable and humorous book details Ingrid's true journey of love, understanding and acceptance despite being peppered with sadness and a handful of rejection. Ingrid joins us now on Zoom to tell us more about this journey. Ingrid, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Simpiwe. Nice to be here.
And it's good to have you on the show this morning, Ingrid. What made you decide to share your life story in such a manner?
It is a memoir, as you said, and it's about my life so far. Hopefully there's a lot more of it to live. And I decided to write it following a wake-up call that I had a few years ago. I've been on a spiritual journey for many years, and as it happens, I had this huge wake-up call which explained exactly why I'm here and my purpose for being here, and I decided to write a book about it.
Okay.
But I didn't want to just write an ordinary memoir, so I'm told that it reads more like a novel, and it's quite a departure from a normal memoir in that regard. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. It does, most definitely. Thank you. And the book begins with you in your mother's womb prior to your birth. Tell us about this and why you decided to start the book this way.
Well, my mother had a huge influence on my life, as most mothers do, I suppose. And what I realized in my wake-up call is that the reason we all are here is not that we're visiting this planet for the first time. We actually come back many times, and we come back to learn lessons. And this enables us to grow spiritually and bring us closer to our God self, which is our love self, which is everything, represents everything about us. So before we come back to another lifetime on planet Earth, we carefully select our parents. And of course, our mother is the most important person we select to teach us during any given lifetime. And that's why I chose to open the book in my mother's womb, because she started teaching her lessons to me very early on. And something happened in that womb phase that set the tone for my future life with her and my future feelings about myself and my self-expression. So it was a vital element as far as I was concerned. And I wanted to share that from the outset with the reader so that they would get a good perspective on why I had the relationship with my mother that I did as the book moved forward.
But how would you describe your relationship with your mother then?
Well, Simpiwe, because we come back to learn lessons, we learn them from people that we draw into our lives. Just as much as we draw people, we draw events into our lives as well. And the lessons we learn are not generally happy ones. They are happy ones, but there are also many unhappy incidents, and it's the unhappy ones that are the greatest value to us. And therefore, my mother taught me a great deal about life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it too. I thought for many, many, many years before my wake up that she was not a very nice person and that she treated me very badly. But I now realize, of course, that she was simply fulfilling what I wanted her to do, and that was to teach me about the unpleasantries of life. And sadly,
what do you think are the causes of this rift then between you and your mother?
As I said, she was. I chose her to be my mother because I knew she'd teach me some harsh lessons.
Okay.
But unfortunately, our choices in parents are based on what we want to learn, and we have no memory of that when we arrive. In this case, I hadn't arrived yet. I was still in her womb. But when we arrive on planet Earth following our birth, we have absolutely no recollection of why we're here and what the lessons that we wanted to learn are. So if we did, we wouldn't learn anything. Nothing would be a surprise anymore. We'd know it was coming. So she was purely fulfilling her role as my teacher, my harshest teacher. And obviously, to begin with, I resented
you vividly detail the abandonment, the rejection, and the sadness that you experienced as a child. Tell us about this and the impact they had on you growing up.
Well, because of my awkward relationship with my mother, to start with, she had a very bad birth with me, giving birth to me. Her favorite saying was, which she used to share with everybody that she could, Ingrid tore me to shreds. That means that she didn't enjoy giving birth to me, and she stayed on at the nursing home after I was born, and I went home to my grandmother, with whom I had an absolutely fabulous bond. But inevitably, I had to return to live with my parents, and that was the initial abandonment I felt. I felt abandoned by my grandmother because I wanted to live with her forevermore. And of course, this wasn't possible because that wasn't part of my life's learnings. My life learning was and still is to experience good times and bad times. So
Ingrid, I can only imagine how difficult it was for you to just sit and recall and perhaps relive some of the painful experiences between you and your mother while writing this book. Now, take us through the writing process. How was it like?
Well, obviously, I have written many, many, many drafts of this book to get to the point where I actually published it. Writing is a learning experience in itself. And every time you write the first draft, you go back, you look at it, and you think, that's not quite as I wanted it, and you rewrite it, and you rewrite it, and you rewrite it until you almost drive yourself insane. But then you do end up with the end product that is as close as can be to being perfect.
Sure. And what has writing this book done for you, Ingrid? Especially what has writing this book done for you, especially when it comes to your emotional scars and well-being?
Well, it's been an enormously cathartic exercise for me. It made me go back through my entire life to date and relive all the relationships that I have had throughout my life. And it made me realize that all these people were my teachers and that they were all doing what I wanted them to do, and that was to teach me good stuff and bad stuff, and I learned the most from the bad stuff. But in essence, what we don't, people say we come into this world alone and we leave alone. We don't. We come into this world as fully loved spiritual beings, and that's how we exit as well. But the whole reason for coming to learn is to become spiritually more aware during this lifetime and every other lifetime, so that we become the eternally beautiful people that we really are. We get to have the joy of that experience on planet Earth as much as we do when we return to the hereafter. So all these people contribute And once we realize that, we don't walk around feeling animosity towards them.
Right.
Muttering to ourselves, oh, she was horrible, she was nasty, I hated her, I want to get her back, blah, blah, blah. Instead, we say, wow, this was amazing. I learned so much from this person, and I just want to repay them by loving them.
Okay.
So immediately you change your mindset you revert to the real loving you, and you say, thank you for life's lessons. I want to share my love and appreciation. As soon as you do that, the person that you're directing your love and appreciation to picks up on that and returns your love. So therefore you have this lovely give and take of love, which sustains you and reinstates the joyful expression of life.
You know, Ingrid, I know that there's so many lessons that we could draw from your life story and from this book. We could learn so much from this particular book. Where do we get a hold of a copy of this book?
Well, it's available at all bookstores, leading bookstores now throughout the country. It's also available online, but it's recently been released in all the leading bookstores throughout the country. Okay. So there you are.
There we go.
Go and buy a copy.
Indeed.
And
Very
I would
good.
love
All right,
you
Ingrid,
to buy
unfortunately, we're out of time.
I'd love to share the love with you.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. I would have loved to have chatted with you a little bit longer, but we're out of time, unfortunately. But thank you so much for coming on board and speaking to us this morning and sharing your life story through this book. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you, Simpiwe. It was lovely to be here.
All right. Thank you. Okay, that was Sunday morning guest author Ingrid Lomas, and we're just in conversation with her about her new book titled Alone Together, Loved Forever. This is Morning Live. Let's take a coffee break.